Jared Cannonier is 36 years old, and he says that he wants to become tied with Mighty Mouse's record with 11 title defenses. He said that he wants to have 12 rubies on his belt. And 12 rubies means first winning a title, and then the rest, 11, is defending that belt. But the problem is Jared Cannonier is already 36. Most champions are not 36 when they become champions. And let me just tell you that I do like Jared Cannonier. I do like him as a fighter. I think he is a real title threat. But if you do not plan to create opportunities for yourself or to put your name out there, you are not going to reach what you want anytime sooner. There is a reason why Jared Cannonier is Adesanya's last title defense. There is a reason why Cannonier was in the bottom. He was in the very bottom of that list. Do you want to know why Jared Cannonier was put in that fight with Adesanya? It's because Alex Pereira is not yet ready. If Alex Pereira had a win against Sean Strickland, they would have immediately done him and Adesanya. They wouldn't even bother doing Jared Cannonier. But because Alex Pereira doesn't have a win against Sean Strickland and they need Adesanya to fight, they gave him Jared Cannonier. You will not find in any video out there that analysis. And Jared Cannonier has a misunderstanding. He thinks that the UFC needs him. He thinks that if he keeps on winning fights, the UFC will eventually give him a title shot. You don't do that. You want to put yourself out there. Rankings do not matter. Card placement does. Do you want to know why Jared Cannonier is in a main event for the final pay-per-view of this year? Because he's fighting Sean Strickland. The UFC is not interested. Okay, you gotta help the UFC help you. And I don't mean to be harsh on Jared Cannonier, but you need to help the UFC help you. The UFC will not be interested in pushing a guy that is not trying to push himself. Did you know that Jared Cannonier doesn't have a Twitter account? He doesn't have an Instagram. Just an example, if Jared Cannonier is not trying to push himself, the UFC will not do that for him. The UFC will help you if you help them help you. There's a reason why Sean O'Malley is being pushed in the rankings and being pushed in co-main event spots. And wait, was he a co-main event? No. He was in the main card behind of a co-main event in the biggest pay-per-view of this year. You don't want to try to chase rankings. Nate Diaz is not ranked for a lot of years now, and yet he is in the main event. He is getting opportunities. I mean, Nate Diaz was said that if he won against Hamzat, he would be the #1 contender. He's not ranked. This was being said when he wasn't ranked. But he was getting main event pay-per-view opportunities. If you can be a pay-per-view main event when you are not ranked, that is a special thing. Pay-per-view main events when you are not ranked. And Jared Cannonier is ranked #2 in the middleweight division, and he couldn't even get a single one. He was in a main event of a pay-per-view because of Adesanya. He's not doing all this because of who he is. He's doing all this because who he's fighting. I do not mean to be mean on Jared Cannonier. It's just the way things are. If you do not try to push yourself, the UFC will not do that for you. If you're not interested in putting your name out there and not being timid on the microphone, the UFC will not do that for you. And Jared Cannonier is the #2 guy in the middleweight division. And if you are 36, if you plan to have 11 title defenses, which is the highest title defenses tied with Demetrius Johnson, if you want to have that, you better put your name out there. You better start calling your shot. You better start shooting your shot. You need to put your name out there. You need to say, here's what I need to, here's what I want, and here's how I'm gonna do to get it. I'm gonna win fights. I think there's a big misunderstanding of Jared Cannonier that he can get a title shot by just winning. You don't just get a title shot by just winning. You can do it a better way, using a thing called social media. Very useful. Not a fun place sometimes, but very useful. There's a reason why Sugar Sean is ranked #1 in the world right now. It's not because he beat Peter Yan. The UFC wouldn't really do fights where a guy is number 13 and he's fighting the #1 guy. You could get to title shots a lot faster. Ask Sean O'Malley. You do not want to go the Leon route, where you win 10 fights, you're getting older and older and older. You're fighting, you're winning, you're fighting, you're winning. But at the same time, you're getting older, and then now you have a 10-fight win streak, and then you can fight for the belt. You don't need to just keep on winning. You can use things such as, just an example, social media. And Jared Cannonier not having a Twitter or an Instagram account is a problem. Not for the UFC, but for him. He's the guy that wants to become a home, what's the term? Totally forgot the term. I have a lot on my head right now. But Jared Cannonier is the guy that wants to become a champion. He wants to have 11 title defenses. And he doesn't have a Twitter account. He doesn't have an Instagram account. You don't need that in your life, but you do need it to get to opportunities a lot faster. You need to help the UFC help you, because they will help you get to main event opportunities, get you to pay-per-view main event opportunities, get you title shots, get you rankings. If you help them, they'll help you with all of that as long as you help them help you. Because if you sleep with the UFC and you wake up and the UFC is gone. It's just totally gone. It doesn't exist anymore. You will panic and you will freak out. That is the equivalent of being fired from your job. And if you get fired from your job, what are you gonna do now? Look at it from UFC's point of view. They wake up, Jared Cannonier is number 2 on their roster. They sleep, Jared Cannonier is number 2 on the roster. The next day, they wake up, he's not there anymore. They do not panic. They do not freak out. You need to help the UFC for them to help you. You do not want to go the Leon or Bilal route. You don't just want to keep on winning and winning and winning and just getting older. You will need the UFC to help you. And you do that by helping them help you. The UFC will not be interested in a guy. The UFC will not try to help a guy that is not trying to help themselves. You want to be a champion and have 11 title defenses and you're only 36 years old. Not only, you're already 36 years old. You will need to be faster. And the only way to do that is to not keep on winning fights. That's one way. But another way is to just put your name out there. Because if you do not help the UFC, they will not help you. Get to title shots, get to pay-per-view main events, and get you to become a champion and have 11 title defenses.